Welcome back to DEP Talk. Today we're gonna talk to a dear friend Kieran, or also known as Lucious on YouTube. And Kieran, you've been a part of the channel for a little while, but you've never had a full-on intro like this before, right?
I'm always just sort of behind the scenes, lurking in the shadows.
Yeah, and that's good because Kieran here, you're from England and you're a musician. So tell me a little bit about making music.
Yeah, I mean, it's always something that I've kind of been passionate about in one way or another. I mean, when I was younger, I wanted to be like a singer. You just sort of hear like pop songs on the radio, and then I'd be like singing along to it, and everyone would always sort of tell me, "Oh yeah, no, Kieran, you're great. You're so good at singing." And so me being a kid and constantly being told I was great sort of gave me a bit of an ego. So I sort of grew up thinking, "Oh yeah, I'm an amazing singer. I'm great." And then I don't know, over the years I sort of got a bit more humbled as I realized, not the best, but I've still always sort of had that like enjoyment for music. And then I went to college and sort of learned a bit about like music production, and I'd already been like playing around with music software for a few years, but I wasn't really like proficient in it. But with a combination of like some stuff that I picked up at college and then just a lot of like personal experience and learning, I think I've gotten to a point where like I'm quite decent at music production, and like I feel proud enough to call myself like an actual musician now, as opposed to what I was before, which was just a stupid child.
Well, I mean, you should be proud of the achievements you have done. I mean, you have made music for us. You're currently working on the Clank movie as well, and I'm very amazed by what you do. And I think you have a great understanding of structure and just how these programs work, because I've been an admirer from afar for a lot of musicians. I've had so many friends and family members who are so good at this, and I've never gotten the understanding of how to create music like I do with creating movies and visual imagery. So I'm just endlessly fascinated by how that works, how you find your ideas for songs, and what makes it tick, right? Like I want to know about that. If you could tell me a little bit.
Well, I mean, yeah, I've had people ask me before, like, what's how words
Are important.
No, I've had people ask me, like, what's your process? What's like the secret sauce? How do you do the things?
Is that a boring question these days?
It's not as much that it's a boring question. It's more that I mean, it's an interesting question because it's one that's so hard to answer. I always give the same answer, and I think people find it a bit corny because they don't think that it's like true, and that I'm just being vague because I don't have a real answer. But the real answer is just sort of practice. It really, for me at least, it really was just going into it and being interested and just throwing yourself at the wall and creating just absolutely like terrible stuff. But the thing is, like,
that's how you learn, right? Just by doing,
exactly.
And going ahead, and then we're all gonna fail, and we're gonna understand the trials and the errors and everything. So I mean that's how it is. I mean, look at our old stuff, right?
If you can look back on something that you made and you look at it and you watch it back and you're like, wow, this is terrible. I don't know how I could ever think that this was good. And I think this applies to like art, to filmmaking, to music, to just any sort of creative medium, or just anything else that involves creation, where like you're involved in the process of making it a thing. If you can look at it and it's your old work and you can say, wow, this is really bad, it probably means that even if you're not willing to admit it, you're more capable now than you were then. So you're probably thinking that it's bad because you could do better now. And I think I've definitely looked at some of my old music and gone, yeah, I could do this and this better. And I just think that, people are too busy like focusing on the fact that they were bad and not focusing on the fact that, they've become better. it's a sign of growth, I think, if you can look back at something and say that it's worse. If you're looking back at something and you're saying to yourself, yeah, I think I'm about the same as I was like 5 years ago in terms of my ability,
Right.
then I don't know. I don't necessarily think that that's a sign of like growth or improvement. I mean, everyone's gonna hit like a ceiling eventually in terms of their ability. There's always room for growth.
Inevitably,
but,
right? But then again, like,
yeah,
we're talking about the subjective and the objective part of that. Like, let's say the practical nature of everything, and everything you create comes from a place. There's meaning in everything you do, and there is association with feelings in everything that we create as art forms. And yes, that will never be taken away from us, because that's why we did it in the first place, right? Like, if you look into our hearts, like, why did we make this song, or this painting, this sculpture, this movie, or I wrote this poem for what reason? And then, as you say, like, we look back on it years later when you continued growing and evolving and living, and you see these are the things that, let's say, from the objective, practical point of view, I didn't quite get right. But now I understand how I can make them better for the next one. And I think a lot of people don't view it that way. It's true. I think a lot of people do look back and go, oh, it's terrible, or I have to aspire to be like someone else to get the acceptance that I'm good. But then again, we're always just learning and evolving, and we're never going to quit. We're never going to stop learning. But that's the good thing, right? And it goes to everything. And music production is, like I mentioned to you, it's a fascinating process to me, because some people say it's mathematical, and I can see that aspect of it.
I never actually learned like actual music theory. So if you played a note to me and you asked me to like pick out, you know, is this a C, is this an A, or whatever, I wouldn't be able to tell you. If I hear a note, I can find it on a keyboard, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what note I'm actually pressing, because personally I work off of ear. Like, everything I do, I'm doing basically off of either muscle memory or just sort of an understanding of, oh, if I place my hand around about here on the keyboard, this is roughly the sound that's gonna come out, and then I just sort of work my way up or down to the actual key I'm looking for. So I mean, it's probably not the most efficient way to do it, but I mean, it's, you know, it's my process. I would definitely recommend learning music theory if you want to be a musician. If you're gonna put the time into it, it's not gonna hinder you, that's for sure. Like, I really should, I should get around to it. It's just not something that I've needed so far. My biggest struggling point is just learning chords, really. Because I rely a lot on like arpeggios and stuff, which is basically just where like you go up and down a scale to sort of create like a little melody, and I rely on those like heavily for what I make, because you don't need to press multiple keys at once to get those sorts of sounds. You're just sort of dancing up and down the keys, and nice sounds come out. But
I like that description of it. I like that description. It's fun.
But yeah, the problem with not knowing any music theory and not knowing any chords, it really is just I mean, I know a few, but I don't know what chords I'm actually playing. Again, it's all just like muscle memory, which is the problem, because it sort of stunts me a little bit in terms of what I could be doing, but not to a point where like I'm incapable of making anything. You know, I'm still able to make new stuff. It's just yeah, I know for a fact that I have room to grow, because in actually sitting down and learning music theory, I would be able to do more. So I will do that at some point. I plan on going back to college next year for university level course of music, and that will probably give me the time and the space to actually sit down and pick some of those things up, hopefully.
That'll be very nice. What memories do you have associated with music being impactful in your life, in your youth, perhaps concerts or having idols or any kinds of events that you were a part of?
I mean, off the top of my head, the song that got me like into music was I think it was I can't even remember who it was by, but the song Hall of Fame, it was in the charts at one point,
Hall of Fame.
years and years ago. Chances are you'll hear it and then you'll go, oh yeah, that song.
Yeah. So what about that song? What made it? What made it click for you?
I mean, again, it was just sort of one of those things where, like I said, when I was younger, I was more into like the singing aspect of things, and I was just sort of, I don't know, I was just a dumb kid, like singing along to stuff that was on the radio, and that would just be on a lot. And that would be like, I think it was like MTV that did it, but there would be these channels like on the TV that would just play chart music back to back to back all day.
Yeah, yeah.
And like my family would be like cleaning the house, and I'd just sort of be sat there in the living room with nothing to do, and just loads of chart music playing. And I didn't really like a lot of it. I was always, I think until I was like 16, I was always like such a little fucking contrarian, where it was just like, oh, popular thing bad, I refuse to like it.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So you don't go in for the whole thing like, I'll listen to any song that's on the radio or an adverb. I am the average person. I like pubs, clubs, and I go to the bar in the weekend. Have you seen the David Firth music awards parody thing? It's great. I should send that to you because how many times do you need to play the new song to the average person so the average person likes the song? And it takes eight tries. First, like, what is this? I don't like it. It's annoying. And then it's like, I'm starting to get used to the lyrics now, and then I dance to it. And then eventually it's like, I gotta listen to this. I gotta go buy it. It's true though. I mean, sometimes I hear modern music and I go, what is this? And I mean, I might have to hear it a few times again, and I go, okay, I see what the appeal is. But I'm also a little bit like you, when not necessarily a contrarian by choice, more so that a lot of modern music doesn't quite just hit my groove. But yeah, it's not for the sake of just being different. It's just I think my heart is a bit more retroistic when it comes to music. But well, some of it comes from your parents, your family, and having a lot of mixed cultures as well. So it's curious. What kind of music did you latch onto then when you were young, if not the radio stuff?
Well, I've gone through a lot of phases, like throughout my life, of being into different things. I think when I was I must have been 14, 16.
Yeah.
I was really into the artist Rusty Cage. I would I'd listen to a lot of his music. He got quite big in sort of the early to mid 2010s for the knife game song, which was basically like fucking, he would play like Five Finger Fillet, that like game where like you stab the knife in between your fingers and try not to cut yourself. He would like sing a song along to that, and he got quite big for that. And then I think he kind of resented the success that came from it, because he basically just got like a massive following of just like little kids, basically. But other than
any
like,
fan base is a good fan base, or
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
But other than that, he put out like a few albums of music, and it's really good. I think the first one is literally just called Rusty Cage Volume 1 or something like that. But
Right.
there was one song in it that I really liked called The Lies of Love. And then in brackets, This Is Not a Love Song. And it's sort of like this ballad type song that it has like a very sort of romantic-y sound to it. And if you're not paying attention to the lyrics, you would sort of think that it's just like a love song, but it's basically just like this very sort of cynical song that just goes into like the idea that love is just a concept essentially that only exists for the sake of like motivating procreation. And it's not saying that like love is a bad thing. It's just sort of like explaining why love exists.
Oh, okay,
and
I see. Yeah.
Why it is that we feel the way that we do towards other people. And
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, it basically just explains that, like, while love isn't a bad thing necessarily, it only exists because of chemical reactions in our brain, and that we only feel the way that we do towards other people essentially because it does, like, you know, relationships leads procreation, which leads to children, which leads to the continuation of the species.
That's how it works.
Which I think is a really interesting talking point, because obviously, you know, we feel these things towards other people, and they do feel like very real and very visceral. But like when you break it down, that is ultimately the truth. But does that invalidate? It doesn't necessarily. It doesn't
invalidate. It doesn't, because
the way that we feel.
Experiences are so individual and unique. But then again, there's a correlation of things that everyone relates to. So yeah, for sure. I mean, I've had these kinds of talks with our friend David, as you may know. I mean, he can definitely get into the biological explanation of the force, microorganisms, the midichlorians. No, I'm kidding. That song just opened your mind to what you can do with music. You don't have to sing about, hey, I'm going to the club. You can go into like this deep philosophical message or talking point for people, and that could still be a song. I mean, that's amazing. You know, it's so broad. The genre. I mean, what genre is that? What would you say?
I don't know what genre it's even really considered. He does a lot of country, but it's not quite country.
I like country.
I like country to a point, but when it gets like too American, I guess is the best way to put it.
No, I'm not into those either. I think a lot of people make fun of those a lot, but I'm not in. Yeah, that's what. Oh, country? You're saying like Yankee Doodle? No. I like the country songs that come from a place of feelings. So those. Yeah. So many good ones to pick from.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I like a bit of country twang, but when it gets into like beer, I love my pickup truck kind of thing, it's just that's too much for me. But yeah, Rusty Cage has like a lot of really deep and meaningful music like that, and I do think as an artist, he sort of opened my eyes to, like, you know, the fact that you can have like these really deep and like impactful statements just compressed into these like, I mean, your average song is like 3 minutes long. That's usually like the sweet spot for most songs.
Like, unless you're Pink Floyd or something, then you can go for 10 minutes.
I mean, I think anything past 5 minutes is taking the mick a bit. But yeah, most.
There are amazing songs that are long too. I mean, even if you look at classical music, I mean, the length of it, you know, it doesn't have to be a negative either. Depends on what the repetition of the song is. Like if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, then I get it. You know, why am I still listening to this hypnosis thing in my head? Like, remember that old banana phone thing? I think that was like the satire of it. Like, this is the repeating
ring,
the repeating thing in your ear.
Phone.
Yeah, and then that's supposed to make you crazy right at the end. So it's like, it just doesn't go away. And sometimes you have these songs in your head that don't go away, and you don't want to have this song in your head. Do you have a song in your head right now that just doesn't go away, that you want to replace with something that's good?
I have a song in mind that gets in my head a lot, and I sing it to wind Lauren up, but I can't repeat the words of it because it would be a bit of a no. Just in terms of the content, it's very crass.
No, all right.
Not even in terms of like swear words. It's just it's a bit of it's quite gross, but
but it's an involuntary thing that happens to us. Like, we get these songs and it's stuck in our heads, and of course radio, they have an idea that it has to function this way, so that people remember and keep wanting to sing and go back to these songs, and they're supposed to have this catchy kind of thing. And I'm happy when the catchy melody is actually like, wow, this is a really like I like this jam. I want to dance to this or listen to this. It makes me feel happy.
Mm.
But there are so many cases where it's something that oh, I don't want to have this in my head the whole day. Recently, the Disney's The Mufasa movie had this song by Lin-Manuel Miranda, which a composer that I really like. But in this case, I thought he was very lazy and wrote something that was way too thin and shallow. It just I want to have a brother. I was one of the brother, and my friend Kevin was putting that on the TV because he didn't like that song either. But he kept putting that song on the TV, and he kept quoting it, and now it's stuck in my head. And it's like I always wanted a brother. I always wanted a brother. Like when I'm king, no. And it tells me it's beloved on TikTok or something. I'm like, what? How is this song beloved on TikTok? It's the easiest song you can write. Lin-Manuel Miranda, like he got a pretty easy paycheck that day for sure. But that's a song that just hasn't gone away fully from my mind. It just pops up when I least want it in my head. But so I need to listen to other music now so I can replace that away.
I sometimes find if I have a song stuck in my head, and it doesn't always work, especially not with like the more annoying ones, like
Yeah.
the one that you just mentioned. But I sometimes find if I have a song stuck in my head, and because sometimes I'll have a problem where like there's a song that I like, but it's stuck in my head and it's looped around in my head so many times that I'm now starting to get annoyed by it. I sometimes find to get it out of your head, you actually just have to go and sit down and actually listen to it. Because it's almost like your mind is just telling you, I want to listen to this. And then once you actually expose your ears to it, your mind sort of like tapers off and stops just like, it's like a monkey banging
Yeah.
the cymbals in your head. Just
What a syndrome.
demanding that you listen to it.
Yeah, and I think the same really applies to a lot of these modern songs because they're so overplayed, right? So I think that's why it happens that they become so popular and everyone reuses them on the social media platforms that they're advertised to use. And then you hear the same thing over and over again and I don't know, is the song actually good anymore or is it just because you're so used to hearing it that I suppose we should just accept that this is a song now. I feel a lot of
Mm.
Swedish contemporary music sounds the same, and a lot of people use the same autotune and sing the same way. I'm not gonna do my impression of it right now, but safe to say, I just don't see a unique voice a lot of times, and I miss those days when I think there were more genres and there was more variety in our music, at least here in Sweden. And I just want to I would like it to go back to that, but then again, I'm not working in the music industry myself, so I'm not calculating trends and all that.
Mm.
But that was just something that I've noticed. Just a little footnote on the whole thing. For example, right now, I think a lot of the big artists like are really like they get a lot of people on stage on concerts. Do you have a memory? What was your first concert that you went to?
Funnily enough, I've never been to an actual concert.
Oh.
Not like properly anyway. Have I ever actually been to like a? I mean, I've been to like, I've had like You would get like performances that would come like to school and stuff like that when I was younger. But in terms of like going to like an actual venue to see a performance, I don't think, whether it be like musical or theatrical or anything like that, I don't think I've ever actually. Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually like done it. I need to. It's one of those things that they say you're supposed to experience.
No,
So
I
I
get
really
it.
should.
I get it. I haven't been to that many myself, but I've seen a few of my friends perform live. I understand the infectionness that happens in the room and like that good feeling that occurs, and I really understand that. And I just haven't seen a lot of artists recently that have been going around touring here in Sweden that are people that I really want to see live. I know a lot of people were flocking for Taylor, and now it was Sabrina.
Yeah.
These artists who make songs that I couldn't tell you which songs they made. I'm sorry to say. Uh, Do you know? I don't know. The artists these days, they use a lot of tools in their favor. And what I mentioned earlier, I don't just miss the variety of different music being played for popular audiences. I miss the sincerity of your voice. Let's say saying that let's not put too many filters on your voice and the auto tunes and all that. Now you can record your voice so many times, and you can put them all together in one go, and your voice sounds even more amazing than you believe. But then it becomes so artificial. It's no longer pure, and I think you can't miss this aspect of it. That's a raw human sound, right? And I have a cousin who makes music, and a lot of times they do that to her voice when they mix it up, and I always think it's a shame because her voice sounds so much better without all those filters. So when they did a acoustic version of one of her songs, this is the best one I've heard because her voice is naturally fantastic, beautiful voice. So let's not do that, people. Let's I mean, unless you're doing like intergalactic, like a robot thing or something funny, or a Gorillaz had like the radio kind of thing going on. I get it, but as a concept. But yeah, I'm so tired of hearing the same style of effect on people's voices. It gets tiresome. That's what I feel.
Yeah. There's definitely like a massive habit just in the music industry in general of using. People's biggest gripe is auto-tune, obviously, and I think what a lot of people don't realize is even in like some songs that sound like more authentic and less like the voice has been tweaked with, pretty much like everything that's big or popular does in fact like use auto-tune or some kind of special effects. And there's nothing greater there's nothing greater and there's no bigger measurement of like raw talent if someone can do like a live like acoustic performance, like you said, and their voice still sounds like great without any of like the touch-ups and stuff like that. But it's one of those things where there's such like an arms race to sound good and sound catchy and be infectious that I don't know, it's like one of those things that's just considered like necessary, so it is basically just everywhere. It's unavoidable.
That's a good point. Like this massive race, you say. I think does that have a connection to people also really going into profanity and being obscene and shocking?
I mean, there's some level of that, like not necessarily in the sense of like being profane just to get people's attention, but a big thing nowadays is like outrage culture. There's a massive thing of the idea of it's better to not it's better, but it's easier to get mass attention and interaction with something by making people angry compared to making them like happy or enjoy something. There's like proof out there, for example, that Facebook will favor posts that get a lot of like angry reactions, like because you can like a post, you can heart it, and then you've got like the anger reaction.
Imagine if I put like a negative title on this video, I mean it's gonna get more clicks because Kieran and Pauli hate modern music. Like, let's go in and hate on them, right?
Oh, that's the thing. There's plenty of proof on just all platforms and just like the news and stuff in general that the outrage or just negativity brings more attention. If you're a big creator on YouTube, for example, there's more of an incentive to make videos with negative titles compared to like more positive ones.
Yeah.
When we were all younger, the big thing was parents being scared that like video games cause violence, for example, and that came from the news. It came from fear mongering from the news.
For sure.
And I mean, it's a complex discussion, obviously, and it's not necessarily a yes or no answer. I think where my opinion lies on that is that video games don't necessarily cause violence, but they can inspire violent people. Like, if someone, I think if someone is if someone is in a position mentally where they're gonna do a violent thing, playing GTA for a couple hours isn't what tipped them over the edge, you know? But I think, like, I don't know, if they played, like, you know, a really gruesome game and they saw, like, some kind of, I don't know, like, execution or something, and they're, like, really, like, messed up in the head, and they were already prone to violent outbursts, and they were gonna go and hurt someone. Maybe, you know, they've seen this violent thing in a game, and the next time that they lash out at someone, they try and mimic what they've seen. Maybe not even intentionally, but that's just like the first place their mind goes to. So I don't think video games have any sway over whether people will be violent or not, but I think it's just one of those things where, like all art forms and mediums, they all have some kind of, you know, like, they all cause inspiration, good, and in the case of real life violence, obviously bad. Because, you know, maybe someone wouldn't have done something the way that they did if they hadn't seen it in a game first, but it doesn't mean that the game is the reason that they were violent, if that makes sense.
No, it makes a ton of sense. When we are kids, when we are very young and we're first exposed to certain stories, certain art forms. If we're sitting in a cinema, the lights go down and the screen starts playing, and your parent or your guardian or the adult that's with you just tells you, hey, this is what's going to happen, and this is a movie, and these are the things that are happening on the screen right now. You're provided context, you're provided understanding, because you have guides around you as you grow up, and people who, of course, don't have or aren't provided with the right context, or are in a place, like you said, a very vulnerable place, or don't understand the morality, the feeling of right and wrong. You play GTA, and I get it, you know, you watch Tarantino movies, and, you know, you have those adults going, is this good or not for kids? How many times did you rob a bank in Payday 2, and how many times did you go out and rob a bank in real life? You didn't go and rob a bank in real life, did you? No. You understand the real life consequences of it.
It's funny that you mentioned Payday 2. I do remember this one time when I must have been like 15 or something, and I walked into a bank with my dad, and I was sort of like looking around at the cameras and like wondering, you know, in my head, I wonder how doable this would be. But obviously, you know, it's real life.
It's not bad to have the thought. Because of what you're saying, it's about like understanding how does this all work, and realizing how consequences exist. A domino effect exists. There's an effect. I affect others around me if I do certain things. If you don't have that, if that's cut from you, then you're gonna have problems. But it's not a problem to explore these thoughts, so we can understand where our own limits go when it comes to our emotions and just our feelings of logistics and things that just are inherently right or inherently wrong. You know, that's just we have to explore these thoughts, and games are good for that, because games provide you so many alternatives, and it is this, yes, for sure, it's a fantasy fulfillment. If you're angry at the world or angry at whatever, okay, I'll go and knock a few cars over in GTA, right? Then I'll calm down. You know, of course, some people say, oh, but then I don't go out and do that. You know, I don't go out spouting violence. I need a place to take the steam out. Some people do that, right? But I haven't done that myself. You know, but I know some people can feel that way about it. But yeah, like if you're playing Batman, you want to feel like I'm taking on the criminals. I'm feeling like a hero, and you know, there's a lot of values in what you can do with games. And But then there are times when people just really want to just mess around and just do the things you cannot do outside in the real world. We've turned out pretty good so far, I'd say.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's the thing that you have to look at as well. The percentage of people who have played violent video games and have done violent things after playing the games, compared to the amount of people who have played violent video games and have then gone on to lead perfectly healthy, normal lives. You know, the difference is night and day in terms of pure numbers. And yeah, I mean, another thing as well is just that like violent video games are also a great outlet. Like going back to Payday, for example, Payday 2 had a VR mode, so you could hook up a VR headset to your PC, and then you could play the game in VR. And sometimes when I was really stressed, there was like nothing better than just hooking up my headset and jumping on Payday and just mowing down like waves of SWAT officers. Now, am I going to go around in real life now and rob a bank and then wait for the police to show up and gun down hundreds upon hundreds of police officers and SWAT officers? Fuck no. Of course I'm not gonna.
No,
but that's the thing. Like, you know, in a video game, it is inconsequential. So just if you're that angry or pent up, it is a great way of just healthily, like, releasing that rage. Because sometimes, you know, it is good to just, like, punch a pillow or, you know, yell into something and just sort of have that release of pent-up frustration. It's good. I think everyone should have that.
It's human.
And,
it's human is what it is.
Yeah, I think video games are a great way of providing that. So,
interestingly enough, that became the thing, right? Like, just from the inception of video games, how they have evolved to include a library of so many different types of stories and scenarios that you can put yourself into. I mean, what do video games mean to you?
Pretty much everything to me, as sad as it is to say, almost, because, you know, it's been a good chunk of my life, essentially, which, when you say it like that, sounds a bit sad, but I mean, it's the truth, you know, it's the
quality time is quality time. You know, if it's good, it's good.
But yeah, it's the medium of entertainment that I've by far consumed the most throughout my life, and yeah, like as I think a lot of people and studios have started to realize in more recent years, you know, video games are just as, sometimes if not more, capable of providing like an immersive sort of experience that you can really like dig into in terms of just like a really interesting story that you can just sort of fall in love with.
Yeah, and it's interactive too. You get to be a part of it, and that's the thing. It's such a like individual experience that you got. And I mean, I like multiplayer games a lot because I like to be in a room with someone playing a game together as well. But I really understand how the immersiveness just takes you away on a whole escape from what's annoying in your world. So yes, please go on.
But yeah, I just think it's great that like people and studios are just like starting to realize more as of like the last few years.
Yeah.
Just how like good video games are for just being able to like tell a story and like really pull people in. And I would say sometimes, you know, again, as you pointed out, because of the interactivity, you know, I think sometimes video games are even better at telling certain stories or giving certain experiences than movies are.
It's complex. You got to think about all the different alternatives and different things like that. Like look at Fallout and Elder Scrolls. It's massive. Like it's massive. You know, you can spend so much time on that. It's so much fun. And funny to mention Payday actually, because I do remember. There's a Swedish company who made Payday. You like the music of those games.
Oh, yeah.
So does Emilio. So I know that, you know, you have that in common. Emilio asked Starbreeze if it was okay to use the music in our short film, Direct Deposit. And he got a thumbs up on that. So these people are really nice and easy to reach out to.
Yeah.
Just as long as we don't monetize things, you know, that's fine. You know, we got to use the music, you know, without getting like that boom, boom, boom. Copyright strike, which we didn't. We got no copyright strike. Like, can you believe that?
Yeah, I mean that's really cool that you got to ask them directly.
Oh yeah, Melio did. So credit goes to Melio for that. So.
But yeah. I mean the Payday series has some amazing music in it, and most of that credit goes to a guy called Simon Viklund,
yes.
Who did.
I remember his name.
Who did most of the soundtrack for Payday 2. I'm not sure if he did any work on Payday the Heist, And then he stopped working with them for Payday 3 as well. But
Oh,
the best music in the series, in my opinion, is in Payday 2, and he's responsible for a large share of that. And yeah, he's also Swedish. So yeah, I mean that'd be another point of Swedish pride there.
for sure. And what's another one? Another big one that's been going on for so many years. I remember when it started around 2009-ish, somewhere there, 2010. Those years. Are you playing this game that has like low graphics, like bad graphics game? Like what is this? You know, like you're doing mining. You're doing what is craft, Warcraft? Why is everyone using craft? Starcraft, Minecraft? I don't know. This is people were not really talking about it as this like big thing when it started. It was just like I'm playing this like low high def game, and
Mm.
so many years later, and now this movie came out. When it really became super popular, like the kids were like, I saw Notch walking down on the street outside of the the school. Like, who's this? You know, it's the guy who made that game. Oh wow, really? Oh, and then I mean they moved offices. They're still pretty close by actually. If you've seen Cold Words, Jack was showing Theo how to hide away when you're doing missions. Mojang Studios is right there in the background. That's the name of the group. So they have a little creeper in the window. Like they don't boast about this, the offices being there. It's just like, oh, there you go. That's the head office right there in the little corner there, which is interesting considering how big this game is. And it's one of those. I'll tell you that I found it soothing and just kind of relaxing to watch. Let's say my brother or my friend play it for like the first few years when it was out, and then they started doing
Mm.
mods and all that. And some mods I was able to catch up to, but then it got very complicated, and then the game just ran a marathon away from me, and then I just didn't catch up to it anymore. And now they made the movie, and
Yeah.
I don't know about this movie, but I think it's gonna earn some buck because of the name Minecraft, and it uses some of the music from it and does references and all that. But is the story any good? I don't know. I'm a huge fan of Jack Black. I mean, I love Jack, Natural Libre and School of Rock and all these films, but I don't feel like he is cast
I mean,
appropriately. Yeah.
I'm yet to watch the movie, and obviously we were going to record this before the movie dropped, but that sort of went a bit
Yeah.
squiff. But obviously the movie's since come out, and I haven't watched the movie. I haven't seen anyone review the movie, but I've at least like seen titles of YouTube videos, and it seems like the consensus is quite like negative. It doesn't
Okay.
seem like it doesn't seem like people are liking the movie, which is a shame. But it's possible for them to be done well. You can see that with examples like I mean the Mario movie was quite well received. I think I'm
Mario
pretty sure.
movie? Yeah, for sure. I had a couple of nitpicks myself, mostly to do with use more the Mario soundtrack and let's not use famous pop songs. And I think the movie could have been a little longer, actually. I think it could have spent a little bit more time, just 10 more minutes, 20 more minutes. I don't think kids would complain either. Just spend a little bit more on some of the moments, I think would be amazing. But
Mm.
other than that, I thought it was a good adaptation of the Mario world. Way better than, of course, the 90s one. Even though the 90s one is a fascinating. Sometimes there are some of these strange gems in the history of cinema. Like, what were they thinking? It just makes it compelling to me, even though I know it's terrible, but it's compelling. I can't I can't look away. You know, Bob Hoskins is still a good casting choice. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy
Yeah.
that these days, yes, they're paying attention to be accurate. I mean, the Sonic trilogy, I didn't know too much about Sonic growing up, but I learned about Sonic through my friends. And seeing David and Dennis being so happy that they're represented the way they should be, accurately so,
Mm.
then I'm happy about it. Like I'm enjoying the ride too with them. And yeah, I like Jim Carrey as well, so that's worked out for me. But then again,
Mm.
like Zelda and these things that are coming out, Mortal Kombat, they're Last of Us, you know, there's a lot of video game adaptations on the horizon, and Minecraft is caught in the middle of this whole thing, and it seems to show you some of the worst tendencies of making these big studio movies based on video games. They think, well, all you need to do
Mm.
is make it look like the game, yes, for sure. But then again, it's just like the game doesn't look like that. It's like I was introduced to being it's a low graphic game, and then it looks like they're all just like squishy organic. It's like good animation, but does that represent the game? That's a good question.
Mm.
I mean, what's your affiliation with Minecraft?
On and off history with Minecraft. The first time I played it was on the Xbox 360 when I was younger. And I remember at the time, despite it being like, I think it was like 2013, 2014, something like that.
Oh, yeah.
I still had like a CRT TV, like one of the box ones.
Oh, wow.
I wanted to play. I wanted to play the game with my sister because we had. We had like two controllers, and we had Minecraft on the Xbox 360, but you couldn't play split screen on it unless you had the console hooked up with a HDMI lead. Which obviously, it being a CRT TV, it didn't support. So, I mean, the difference between playing Minecraft on the Xbox 360, and it was like one of the earlier versions too, because I don't think we had it hooked up to the internet. The difference between that and now being like on like a nice PC and being able to like play it with like shaders and mods, the difference is like night and day. It feels like a completely different game.
Do you ever play the story mode?
The Telltale one?
Yeah, is that the one with my name is Steve, but not Jack Black, but just normal animation Steve?
Well, the one that was made by the same studio that made the Walking Dead game, and they made the Batman one.
Oh yeah. The Wolf Among Us and those games, right?
Yeah. I played. I think I played like the first chapter of Minecraft Story Mode, because they have a habit of releasing the first chapter for free to sort of like, you know, give it's sort of like their way of doing like a demo.
That's good.
Where you can play like. You can play the first chapter for free as like a taster to reel you in, and then obviously you have to buy the rest of them. But I never bought the other chapters. But I played the first chapter, and it was all right. I thought it was okay. From what I've seen from the trailers at least, and obviously, you know, I'll be corrected if I'm wrong because the movie's out now, so people will be listening to this and they'll have already seen it. But from what I've seen from the trailers, it looks like it's just going to be, you know, oh my god, real life people end up in the Minecraft world, and this thing that you can do in Minecraft happens, and you can do anything in Minecraft. Look, you can build the thing, and here are the villagers, and you can craft stuff, and then it's just going to be like generic like animated movie like. Like I don't know, obviously the Nether's involved.
They go down there, of course. You know, what you're describing to me is just it's funny because I'm reminded that this sounds exactly what we wanted to do with our series. It's exactly that, but you know, just high budget. But that's the thing, you know. Just replace Jack Black and Momoa with Million David, and that's what we were doing. You know, that's what we were doing. So it's just like, okay, that I suppose is the easiest version of it. The little kids are still playing the game. I saw a kid on his phone the other day playing Minecraft, and I was at the library for my work, and I saw small kids at the library playing Minecraft. And I was like, wow, oh my god, like so much has not changed in 17 years, almost 18 years since the game first came out. So wow, like how certain things just stay the same, and that's really impressive, right? Like we were that age, those kids were, when the game came out, and the game just it looks the same but has a lot of the patches and the mods, like you say. So it's expanded.
But the great thing about it is it's accessible on every platform, including PC, and there's like cross-platform multiplayer, so someone can be like playing it on their phone, and then you could have it like on your PC or on your Xbox, and then you can play together even though the other person's only got it on their phone. And it's just lightweight enough that, I mean, while phones have gotten a lot more powerful than they used to be, like it's lightweight enough that you can just run it like pretty much flawlessly on just any old phone, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
That you could just
True.
you just have that level of like reach between different consoles, because a problem that I would sometimes have when I was younger is like, I'd be friends with someone and I'd want to play games with them, and it'd be like, oh, I'm on Xbox. What have you got? Oh, sorry, I'm on PlayStation. So it's like, well, that's it. We're fucked. We can't really play anything.
Yeah. Same happened to me so many times. Like, oh, you guys don't have Nintendo?
Cross-platform multiplayer is just like a thing that's becoming more prevalent now. Is really cool. I mean, you don't see like every game coming out with cross-platform multiplayer, because the thing about it is obviously like, if you're going to commit to cross-platform multiplayer, if you want to update it on one platform, you've got to update it on all of them, and I'd imagine on some that's like quite a process. Yeah. So it makes I mean, I know for a fact that that's a thing because of Payday 3.
They did that there. Okay.
Payday 3's got cross-platform multiplayer, and updates for that game are really slow.
This creates longevity to Minecraft, and this makes sure that Minecraft always has a new life and just becomes innovative and just feels like the ingenue still to this day. Or what is the appeal about this game? What do you think makes this game such a sensation?
As they call it, a sandbox game. The fact that you really can just do anything, and the fact that it's one of those games where like, I think the process of getting yourself like established in a new world is more fun than actually continuing one that you've got. So it's quite fun just to like, I think what a lot of people do these days is they have what I think people will call like almost like Minecraft phases, where like once a year you sort of get your friends and you load up the game, and instead of like going back into the world that you played like a year ago, you start a new one and you get your base set up all over again. Maybe like, you go and kill the Ender Dragon or whatever else. Like, you get yourself established and you spend ages building like these really nice, big, grandiose bases, and you get all set up, and you do that for about a week, and then you're just like, all right, we'll play tomorrow. You get off, and then you don't play the game again for like another year. You come back on and you do it all over again the next year, and it's like I think you would think the process of just like picking up the game, getting to a level, and then just abandoning it and doing it all over again later on would be like infuriating, almost like in any other game. If it were like a story-based game, just once a year coming back to it and just starting over again, I think that would be like quite a pain.
But in Minecraft, you create something entirely new when you start again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just it's one of those things where like, especially like if you play in survival, it's one of those things where it's like really fun to like work with the resources you have and just see, what sort of settlement you can like set up for yourself with the resources that you can get. Yeah.
So you can take this idea and apply it to the sequel to the Minecraft movie. Let's restart, reboot the system, as it were. And now it could be a horror movie even. You're stuck in the wilderness of this world, and then the creepers and the zombies are coming at you at night. I mean, you could change things up. Did you see the trailer for this movie? Did you feel compelled? Like, I want to check this out, or what was your reaction when you saw the trailer?
I think I've seen all of the trailers because they released like 3 of them, I want to say.
They did.
Yeah, there was like the initial trailer, like the reveal trailer. Then they had the one that was like the sort of Steve trailer where it was all focused around Jack Black. Yeah. And then they had the third one, which was more focused on the side characters. And then like at the end, you've got like the villager getting hit by a car.
Oh, Jennifer Coolidge. Like this strange thing.
I assume at some point in the movie, all the Minecraft stuff is going to go into the real world, and then, shenanigans ensue there. Especially that last trailer, I kind of just felt like, yeah, it's one of those things where, like, it's really cool that video games are getting enough representation to, like, get movies. and I want to watch it.
Yeah, no, I'm rooting. Every time I'm rooting as well. Like I don't want to be in the negative crowd either. I really don't. When the first trailer comes out, like I'm hoping that I'll be won over it. I want to feel that way every single time. And then the internet takes it into a different direction, and then the internet starts making fun of things, and then it just goes on and on. We're in the cinema, and they show the trailer, the second trailer, and my friend Kevin next to me goes, "Okay, let's see if I'll be into this. I'll tell you if I like this or not." And then the second Jason Momoa turns around, he went, "Nope." I was like, "Well, let's give him one more chance." And I saw the last trailer, and there's a part where he puts on the sunglasses, like running, and like I'm gonna be a hero thing, and it just made me laugh. And then Jennifer Coolidge shows up. It's like, okay, so they're trying to check all the different boxes, and I get it. It's like, oh, I'd watch it with someone that really likes the game. Like I'd watch it with the friends. I would do that, and I think we had a little, not a bet, but a challenge going on. If like Kevin was telling me, like if Dennis mentions that he wants to go see the Minecraft movie, we have to go and see it. We don't complain or anything like that. We just go and see it, because if he mentions it, like we're not gonna mention the movie, but if he mentions I want to go see it, then we're gonna go. We're just gonna go and do it anyway. He hasn't
finds out and just brings it up over and over again to just torture you and make you just perpetually watch the Minecraft movie over and over and over.
As much as I know about movies, Dennis knows about video games. So that's why Kevin brings that up. Because like the new video game movie, who's going to know about the video game movie? Well, it's going to be him. So we got to go see it if he tells us to. Because we can have his reaction. And in this case, it did not happen. And David was not so into seeing it either. And I don't think Emilio is too keen either. So we might not have a review, but we have a little talk about the whole history and our feelings and reactions on what the game is, and just what we see from the internet zeitgeist. As always, we see the positives, the people going, "I remember that song, I remember that detail, that thing, and I feel nostalgic," and we have the negative side that just making fun of things, and I can't really get a consensus what people actually think about something, because I'm just seeing satirical comments everywhere, and that's annoying. And then the next episode, I'll see if I get David back. We're gonna talk about what's been happening with the Snow White thing, for example. That's gonna be something.
I'm sure that'll be fun.
Oh, it's gotten a bit. It's gotten way more out of hand than the first time we talked about it. So I thought, well, it's probably it. We got our thoughts out on that, and I was like, oh my god, so much stuff happened. I was like, I have so many more thoughts on this whole thing, and so we're gonna get into that later. But Kieran, where can we find you on the internet?
Well, you can find me over on my YouTube channel, which will be linked in the description. Mostly that will be, I say mostly, it'll be entirely, music, covers, original works, soundtracks I'm doing for other people. So there's that. Then you can also find myself and my partner Lauren, over on our gaming channel. It's called, Lucious. We upload on there very infrequently, but we always put hard work into the videos and do our best to make those funny. So that's the two main places that you can find me there. And I'm always putting passion into what I do. So if you're listening to this and you want to hear more of me or my stuff, that's where to find me. So yeah, thank you if you go and check that out.
That's awesome. I really love that picture, that drawn picture that you guys have over on your, let's call it the duo channel, right? Like when you're walking, you're holding hands. That's a really beautiful picture, drawn picture.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a commissioned work. Lauren didn't do that. I paid another artist for it. It wasn't cheap, but I had it made into a canvas, and it's hanging on the wall right now. I'm literally staring at it. It just hangs at the end of the bed, so we see it every day when we wake up. So that's pretty cool.
That's amazing. It was so much worth then. And what you got working on right now? Anything you want to let me know about?
Well, I mean, I'm doing soundtrack work for Clank and the Golden Scar, coming soon to a screen near you.
That's right.
So I'm doing stuff for that. every now and then, I'm working on little remixes and stuff. We need to get an animation done for the intro to our gaming channel, and once that's done, we'll be making videos there again. So there's little bits and pieces in the works. But I'm mostly just taking things as they come, and if anyone needs work done, then please track me down. I'm eager and willing.
There you go. Lucious has got a different strategy to his music making, going by ear, not so much the calculations, and I like that. You have your own method. That's amazing. So with that said, thank you for tuning in, and see you on the next DEP Talk. Signing out.